Hey, it's Zachary Cox with Crypto Z and here with another video with you. It's November 24th, 2025. Taking a little vacation here in Florida, Port St. Joe. Sorry for not uploading recently. Between work, I do fiber optic drilling, and working out of town, it was a little difficult to keep up on and sharing that with you guys. I really appreciate you coming back. If we have returning viewers or listeners, if you're new, please stay and watch. Got some good stuff. Posted the first video, had some mic issues, but this week should be better. We got some AirPods this week, so we're going to have a little bit better audio. Um, to start off the video, I'd like to show a book that has really meant a lot to me. And there was a man that actually from my workforce, shout out Earl, that showed me this book, and it really did help me with understanding where success really comes from. And I'm going to read to you a short clip from this book, and it's him about his first meeting with Andrew Carnegie. And if you don't know who Andrew Carnegie was, he was a Scottish born American industrialist, and he was one of the richest men in history. Um, really, really interesting man to read up on. He later became a major philanthropist. But in this book, we have Victor Hansen, who comes and interviews him. And now this is set back in the 40s, and they didn't release this book because the family didn't necessarily want his book out there because some of his ideas and just outlooks on life that weren't really viewed to the public as normal. Now, later on in years, as we have more speakers and more people that come out and talk about these kind of, it's really important to also go back and bring those ideas with us. And I'm going to read a passage out of chapter one with his first meeting with Andrew Carnegie. If you undertake this job, you should interview. All right, let me give you a little backstory before I get into this. This leading up to this is a journalist, and he's trying to become a successful publicist. And starting with that, he goes to meet with some of the most powerful men in that time era. And that would include Andrew Carnegie. And when he actually goes to meet with this man, two things happen. He gives him a job offer, and that job offer is to stick it out 20 years to make another income from a different source. And we'll talk about that later. But he does get into different publicities and marketing stunts to fund his 20 years endeavor that he promised to Mark Carnegie or Andrew Carnegie. Um, but he also challenges the journalist Mark or Andrew Carnegie before he get into this passage to interview over 350 or 500 between that range of successful men and women. But he also told him, you will find more success learning from those who have failed than those he had succeeded. So he went on to interview over 15,000 quote unquote failures. And when I read this passage, I want you to listen to what I'm saying because they're not necessarily failures. If you undertake this job, you should interview not only the few who have succeeded, but the many who have failed. You should carefully analyze many thousands of people who have been classified as failures. And I mean by the term failures, men and women who come to the closing chapter of their life disappointed because they did not obtain a goal which they had set their hearts upon achieving. And inconsistent as it may seem, you may learn more about how to succeed from failures than you will from so-called success. They will teach you what not to do. Along toward the end of your labor, if you carry through successfully, you will make a discovery which may be a great surprise to you. You will discover that the cause of success is not something separate and apart from the man, that it is force so intangible in nature that the majority of men never recognize it, a force which might be properly called the other self. Noteworthy is the fact that this other self seldom exerts its influence or makes itself known, excepting at times of unusual emergency, when men are forced through adversity and temporary defeat to change their habits to think their way out of difficulty. My experience has taught me that a man is never quite so near success as when that which he has called failure has overtaken him for its occasions of this sort that he is forced to think. If he thinks accurately and with persistence, He discovers that so-called failure usually is nothing more than a signal to rearm himself with a new plan or purpose. Most real failures are due to limitations which men set up in their own minds. They had the courage to go one step further. They would discover their error. I'll stop right there and kind of recap what we just went over. And I don't know if you guys can really see that, but this is the book, Outwitting the Devil. Um, but what he really goes into on that passage is you'll learn much more from people who have failed and quote unquote thought about those actions that led them to that than somebody who was more successful at towards the end of their life or goal and decided, hey, this was my marking point. But a lot of people won't be satisfied with that kind of marking point. And a lot of times that greediness will almost self-destruct you. And I know I don't normally read books. I usually just shout them out. But before we got into the crypto lesson of this, I wanted to kind of go more on the mental side of this. So even though you may be failing on these investments, or maybe you feel like you're not learning anything, no matter how much you're trying, it just seems like a new language, that resistance is where you want to be. Resistance is always the key to the best path because if you're doing something and it's easy and it comes easy, why would you want to do it? When something's hard and builds character on somebody, it's very important. Sorry about that. Friend of mine came out. But um it's also important to keep that level head when trading, to always remember that you can always lose, but you can also win. But coming with winning takes loss. So just remember that. Be patient with yourself when you're learning these things and take your time. We're going to switch over to the next section. How are we doing? A little bit of better view of Port St. Joe, Florida, where I'm on vacation, and it's a real pretty day. But wanted to give you guys something else to look at than just me. Um, Today we're going to be talking about crypto, mindset, and future. And what do those three mean? Well, I had a friend come to me and ask, like, well, isn't crypto just gambling? And in a sense, honestly, I would say no, but it is. And I'm kind of going to talk about that today. People mix up investing with gambling and crypto in their mindset and in their future, but they're completely different. Crypto and investing is different than just gambling your money away because gambling is just a leaf in the wind. There's nothing you can do to predict it. But there are many things you can do to study and learn about investing that makes it less of a gamble, more of a tool you can use for yourself. Um, Good quote, remember for the day. To get something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. Um, Gambling is like walking into a fight, no, any training, and just throwing wild punches, hoping something's going to hit. Um, Kind of go into a crypto section. The difference between training versus a hypothetical casino or gambling. Trading and investing is training every day, sticking to a plan and knowing why you're doing what you are doing. And that just comes with anything. And I like to use some metaphors to give a better idea. But when you train for something, you're not going into something with no practice. And when you train for something, you're much more likely going to have a better outcome. You're almost 100% guaranteed to have a better outcome than going into something with no training at all. Um, and when you look at that, you also have to go on to sticking to a plan. And what does that mean? That means not going for wild punches like meme coins, big hits. You want to stick to a proven game plan and learn. You learn every day through different apps like InvestMate. InvestMate is teaching almost a new definition on this work. I really recommend it. I can put the link in the video description for anybody who's interested. Um, Sticking to a proven plan, Bitcoin or Ethereum. That might be your long-term proven plan because what have they done almost every year but this year so far? It's been bullish. Now this year is a little bearish, but when we're thinking about long proven plans, we're looking at the 10-year plan of it. So big proven coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum are really important when you want to take a solid base instead of trying to take hits at those random meme coins. Um, Studying trends and charts is almost like watching game tape on an opponent. When you're watching maybe a match or a different kind of game and you're about to play a team, you want to know what their best players, their plans, their practice, their gameplay, how they react. And that really is a way you can tie into investing in either crypto or stocks. It's all emotion, watching, and just being consistent. Um, if you do those things, you're almost guaranteed a success rate. Um, Take profit and stop losses. That's keeping your guard up and that's keeping you safe. And what that means is you're almost guarding yourself from either the inevitable on a big hit coin or you're just being safe, playing cautious, putting in money that you don't have to worry about losing it all, getting it liquidated. No, you set a set price where you can take a nice profit, where you can lose a certain amount of profit, but not plunge to where you lose it all. And these are just kind of keeping, I guess, a good head on your shoulders, not getting greedy, not getting over anxious, not forcing something that's not there. You have to wait for your time. And that goes with why it's not gambling. If you're studying and there's predictabilities in the equation, that's not gambling. That's studying, that's practice, and that's hard work. And people don't want to do hard work when they believe something has succeeded someone else and they're still down here not putting in the work. Of course, they're not going to want you to maybe continue in something or doubt that method. Um, as we continue here, same thing in life. You can gamble your days away on impulse, or you can train your mindset like a fighter, disciplined, patient, and controlled. Mindset, blueprint versus a coin toss. Blueprint, a drawn up plan, knowing your plan and knowing what you're going to do to execute that plan. A coin toss, luck. And that's what it is trying to invest without doing your research, without doing practice. Discipline, knowing your plan. That's important because discipline will take you farther than just investing. It will take you far in your personal life, mentality wise, just overall a great tool to have in your arsenal. Patience. Patience is waiting for the setup. And what that means is waiting for your time to come. Every time you get on the market, even if you're candle trading, day trading, long term trading, patience and waiting for the setup is the best opportunity for you to make the most money and further yourself in investing. And what do I mean by that? Well, basically, say you're watching a coin and you want to buy in, you want to get in on the crypto stuff. Why would you want to wait when it's, why wouldn't you wait when it's the lowest of that month? Or would you rather just to buy in at the highest price or whatever price that is at that time just because you want to get in on it? Well, no. You pull up your monthly charts, your weekly charts, your hourly charts, whatever you may be doing, and you set a plan. You're patient. You wait for your setup. And when that key system pops up and you say, hey, there's my time to invest. There's my price. That's what I want to go in for. That's when you do it. And that's when you start to learn. To move on to number 4 of our mindset, control, knowing when to walk away when needed. And a lot of times when I'm asked, like, it's gambling, well, no, you can actual blueprint of what you are going to do, and you stay disciplined, you are patient, and you stay in control of it, not getting greedy, you will make it far. That may be months, that may be years, but you will learn. The more practice you do will always benefit you. Anything furthering your self control is going to help you in every aspect of your life. Moving on to future. Number one, planting versus hunting. This is a really cool one for me, and I did some notes in my notebook here about it. But planting, their habits, its growth, and its consistency. Okay. We're going to compare that to investing. Hunting, quick hits, instant reward, gambling. Those are your meme coins. Those are those high risk coins that you see people lose money on or gain thousands of dollars on. They're just, that is a type of gambling because you don't know if those coins are going to spike or go down. And with that, that'll be the end of the video for this week. Just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching, new watchers and old watchers. If you're new, go check out the video I posted before this. Just want to say thank you for watching and hopefully a new video every 2 or every week. Happy holidays. Have a good one. Crypto Z.